Searching for tutorials on formatting text in Word? Look no more. In this video, I'll be showing you step by step exactly how to format text in Microsoft Word. Hi guys, welcome to AT Tech Hub. My name is Item. If you want the best tips, tricks and strategies to improve your tech knowledge, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and tick the bell icon to be notified so you don't miss any of my videos. Let's dive into Microsoft Word. So right here, we go to our search. We search for Word. So we double click on Word to open. So we wait for it to open, and then we click on our blank document. If you're not familiar with the Microsoft Word interface, you can check my previous video up here. So let's click on the blank document. Blank. Alright, so we are going to learn how to actually format text in Microsoft Word. Alright, so before we can format text, what does formatting means? Formatting simply means you being able to edit the text, changing the color, the font, the size, and all of that. Now, how do we do that? The first thing you have to do before you format a text is to actually select the text. So how do we select the text? You select the text by highlighting the text. So you click from the beginning of the text, click on your mouse. So you left click, hold and drag. So when you left click and you hold and drag, you've selected the text. So the next thing you have to do is to go to your tools that you could use to actually change the font size, color, and style. Now, if you look on our menu bar, we have the home. So we have the home menu, and then we have all the tools in the home menu on the ribbon, display here on the ribbon. We have the clipboard, we have the font, we have the paragraph, we have the styles, editing, and this other one here. So what we are going to do now, we are going to look at the clipboard here. So we're going to look at the clipboard here. So the clipboard here, we have the cut, we have the copy, and we have the paste. So if you want to actually do something, you want to copy this text here, all we can do is to highlight first. Remember, you have to first highlight the text. Highlight text. Then you go to what? So we have cut. So if I click on cut, the cut is going to move the text from the exact position here. So I want to paste it on the next paragraph. How do I create a new paragraph? I use my enter key. So if I click on my enter key, my insertion moves from the first paragraph to a new paragraph, and here I can paste the text I just copied. So here I just have to what? Click on what? Paste. So you can see we have the formatting text in Word that we initially had on the first paragraph, which is here. So I'll just write this. So I have A here. Okay, use A here. I have B here. I have C here. So you can see we have the first paragraph, which is the A. The second paragraph is the B. The third paragraph, the C, which the fourth paragraph is the formatting text in Word. So do you create paragraph? You create paragraph by using your enter key. So if I click on my enter key at the front of, when my insertion is at the front of A, enter, I'll have a new paragraph. So if you want to get rid of the paragraph, what do? You backspace. You get rid of the paragraph, enter, you create a new paragraph. That's how it works, right? Right. So let's get rid of the paragraph here. Get rid of the top paragraph. So all you have to do is to highlight text here. So when we highlight this text, then we have to go to copy. So here we have copy. So copy is going to actually duplicate this text. You still have the original copy. You still have the original version, and then you have the copy version. So if I click on copy, and then I unselect the text. So you can select the text like this, and then you can click on the white space to unselect the text. So I click on enter to create a new paragraph, and I use my paste key, paste, and then I have a new what copy of the first paragraph I had there. So if I click paste again, paste, 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 paste. So I have them as much as they are here. So that's basically how we can use our clipboard. So our clipboard helps us to copy, cut, and paste our text. So we've just done that here. Now let's get rid of this. Okay, so we have formatting text in Word. Formatting text in Word. Now the next thing we can do to this is we can actually increase the size of this text, the style, and the colors. So we have to select our text here, select our text, and then we go to group, the font group. So here you have the font group. On the font group, what we have here is we have the font family, we have the font size here. So you also increase the size of this font. All we have to do is to click on the font size here, click on it. So we have our numbers. So let's take it to the yes, we have 70. Okay, let's leave it at 48. So at 48, we've actually increased our font size this big. All right. Now let's highlight again. So when we highlight this text, we can go to our font family here, click on the arrow down. So we have different font family. So this is like we have the Tahoma, we have the Times New Roman, we have the Arial Black, we have the Agency, FP, Algerian, Arial Black, Narrow, and we have all this font type. So if I scroll down, you see different font style or font family. So this is a font family where it consists of different fonts, the bold and rest of that. So we have this here. Font families. Okay, let's use Time New Roman. So you click on Time New Roman. I could see, boom, our text has changed. The text style has changed. This is nice. So if you change it to Time New Roman, so let's highlight again, go back here and change to MV Bully. So we have MV Bully. So if you don't have all these fonts on your system, you have no problem. But on your computer, you're supposed to have like the system default font on like what we have here. So at least you should have all these fonts on your system, right? So we have Berlin Sang, FB, Tenley, and we have all this font here. So you can change your text to any style you wish to use that's readable to the human eyes. So that's how you can actually change your font style. Okay, right, we have bold. So here we have this tool here, bold. Now bold enables text to become more heavy. So it's increase the weight of our text. So if I click back, it's on bold. So let me use a text that is not that bold. So like stuff like this. So if I click on bold, it becomes bold. If I check bold again, it's on bold. Here we have italics. So italics is actually going to slant your text. So if I click on it, your text becomes slanty, and I click out on it, it becomes normal. Now we have this one here. So when you click on the any of the two here, you find out that when you click on the two, you see an info about the tool. Like on this tool here, we have underline. We have the shortcut for underline, which is Control plus U. And underline helps us to underline text. So you can see they will give you an info of what the tool is all about. So that's one thing about Microsoft Word. When you see a tool, all you have to do is to take your pointer there and leave it for some seconds. It will display the name of the tools, the shortcut for the tools, and also displays the use of the tool. So here we have it here. So we have underline, then we have our text underline. So to remove the underline, to uncheck it, to get rid of the underline, all we have to do is to click back on the underline, and then we've gotten rid of of our underline. Here we have another tool called the strike through. So we click on the strike through. This can be used if you actually want to make a style of canceling text in Microsoft Word. You can just use strike through, and then it strikes out the text. This is also useful. Now we have this tool called the subscript. This subscript, what does it do? It actually allows us to make a smaller text behind or beneath another text. What do I mean? So let me take this down. So I have here, let's say I have HO2. So let me change this font. I like the font. Let's change it to something else. So I have HO2, H2O rather. Okay, so I have H2O. So this H2O. So right here, I want to make this 2 a subscript to H and to O. So all I have to do is to select just the 2, select, click, left click, hold and drag till this shadow, this highlight covers the letter or the number. And then all you have to do is to click on the subscript, and here we have it. Boom. We have a subscript of what? Of H. To undo this, you click back on the subscript. Boom. You can see that it goes back to normal. The same thing happens if I want to make it a superscript. So I can just click on this one here called superscript. So all I have to do here is to highlight the H, click back on the superscript, and it comes back to normal. So this is how we can actually use the superscript and the subscript. So I can highlight the text here, we have the increase font size. We also have the decrease font size. So the increase font size automatically changes our font size without selecting a specific number here. So without selecting a specific number, we can just use the increase font that enables us to increase our font size. Or we can use the decrease here, which actually decreases our font size for us without using a specific number here. Now here is called the case change. So here we change case. Now if you actually type this, so let's say home. So I have here is home. So we have home written here, and they are all in capital letters. So if I want to change them to a small letter, what I have to do is to highlight this home here, highlight the home, go to change case. So we have sentence case, we have lowercase, we have uppercase, we have capitalize each word, we have toggle case. So if you use sentence case, it changes my text back to a normal sentence case by capitalizing the first letter of the word. If I use lowercase, it makes all my text lowercase, small letters. And if I use uppercase, all my text become capital letter. If I use each case, okay, let's say home is better, home is better. So if I highlight this here, and I go back to case, and I say capitalize each word, what happens is that each of the words will be capitalized. The first letter of each of the words will be capitalized like this. So this is what happens if I use each case. Now toggle each case. Let's go toggle case. So toggle case actually changes the first letter of the words to small letters and the remaining letters to capital letters. Alright, let's take it back to sentence case. So this is sentence case. This works better. Alright, so let's highlight the home is better. Then here we have a text effect. So we have text effect. So it's just going to stylize the text. If you select any of the effect here, it changes the style of our text to whatever style we want. So that's what text effect does. Let's highlight back. We change it back to normal plain text. So we have here text highlight color. So text highlight color is actually going to change the highlight, the selection of our text, the background of the text, so to any color we choose. So like this, it works this way. So if I want to get rid of it, I have to select the text again, go back to the text highlight and say no color. So by doing that, we are back to our normal text. So let's select text home is better again. Then we have this tool here, this command called font color. The font color is going to change the colors of our letters, of the words, the text we have here. So change it to any color, black, orange, gold rather. Change it to gold, change to blue. You can also change it to red, change it to yellow, green, like dark green and the rest of that. So let's leave it at this screen here. So we can actually change the color of our text to green by using the font color, or we can leave it at the automatic, which takes it back to the default color. Alright, so that's how we can actually change the color of our text. Here we have this tool called clear all formatting. So the clear all formatting tool is going to clear all the edits that we have added to the text, be it font style, size, color, and case. So if I do this, I like this home is better, change the size to 70, bold, italicized, underline. Change the color to whatever color. When I click on clear all formatting, it clears all the edits that I applied to the home is better, and it goes back to the normal font size and how it should be. It clears the font family to the default font family, the text size to the font size, and it takes everything back to default. That's what clear all formatting does. So here we have the next group called the paragraph group. On the paragraph group, we can actually use paragraph group to align our text, to space out our text in Microsoft Word. Okay, let's look at the bullet. So let's say here we have list. So we have list, things to buy. Okay, let's say we have things to buy. And then we have a colon. How do you type the colon? Hold your shift and then you type the colon. So we have a colon here. Say shoes, trousers, say shirts. Right, so we have these three items to buy. So we say things to buy, which is the heading of this text. Things to buy. So we have shoes, we have trousers, and then we have shirts. Now we can actually use these three items as a list. How do we do that? We highlight it, go to our paragraph, and click on bullet. So the bullet allows us to create a list. So if you want to make a list, you can use the bullet to create a list. So you click on the arrow down, they have different types of bullet. You see this one, you see this one, you see this. So let's just select any one we want. So we could just select this. Here we go. So here we go, we have this list, choosing this. So these things are referred to as bullets. So we can use it to create or to make a list. Let's say we don't want to use select, we want to use numbers. We can highlight it. We go to where we have what? Numbering. Or the numbering, we can select a number or the number with the bracket, a Roman figure, an alphabet, a capital letter alphabet, a small letter alphabet, and so on. So let's just go with the first one. So you could see we have actually created a list. So if I highlight it, I can use alphabet. So we have A shoe, B trouser, and C shirt. So whatever you want to use is okay. So this is called a number list. So we have, if you want to get rid of the numbers, you use none. So if you want to use numbers, you could use 1, 2, 3, or you could use the one with the bracket, or you could use alphabet, the capital letter alphabet, or the small letters alphabet. But that's exactly how we use numbers. So that's numbers. Now, next thing we have here is we have the alignment. We have the align left. We have the center. We have align right. And then we have justify. Now, what are they used for? Let's say, for example, we have this list here, and we want to make this list to be at the center of the page. All we have to do is to highlight the list, go to the alignment, and click on center. So when we click on center, what happens is that the shoes and the trousers and the shirts all align to the center of the page. And if we click at the right alignment, it aligns everything that we have here, the shoes, the trousers, and the shirt, to the left part of the page. And then here we have justify. So justify is simply going to make a block form of a text. Take, for example, this one here, formatting text in Word. If I click justify, what happens is that it stretches the text or the words and fill them in a block form on the page. I'm going to copy a text and paste here. So I have this. So this is a text I just pasted here. So you can see all I have to do is to highlight it, highlight the text, and go to justify. Now with justify is going to make it a block. Now if I leave it at the left, you can see how the texts are being aligned here. If one aligns, it doesn't get to the end. But if I use justify tends to push all the text to align at a particular stop. So that's what justify does. So that's how you use justify to actually align. Now the next one here we have here is line and paragraph spacing. Line and paragraph spacing is actually used to give a space between each line of text and each paragraph of text. At this point here, you could see that this is the first line of text, the second line of text, the third line of text, the fourth line of text. If I highlight from here down to these beginners, okay, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this here. Sorry. Let's get rid of these items. Remove these numbers. Okay. Now, right, so this is a paragraph, a single paragraph, and there's a full stop. Here is another paragraph. This is a paragraph. This is a line. This is also a line. A paragraph is created whenever you use the enter key. So if I type a text and I use my enter key, I've actually created a paragraph. So that's how a paragraph is being created. Okay, right here we have two paragraphs, the tutorial on how to format text in Microsoft Word for beginners, and I have this session for tutorials on text formatting in Word. So this is actually two paragraphs here. Now, if I highlight this other paragraph, highlight it, and I go to line and paragraph spacing and click on it. Now we have line spacing, so we have 1.0, 1.15, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, and 3.0. Now what happens is that the more I increase line, the more lines you have between the text, the blocks of text. So the more I increase the line, the more spaces you have between the blocks of text. So at the moderate part, if I want to increase my line spacing, I could leave it at 1.5 or 1.15, which is moderate for me. So I can just leave it at 1.5, which is okay. Now, paragraph spacing is the space between this first paragraph here, and the second paragraph here. So you can see that there's a space between here and here, right? So if I go back, click here and say, already we have a space. So if I go to remove space after paragraph, you can see that the two paragraph blocks together to actually form a single line. Now you can hardly differentiate that you have a paragraph here. So by adding a paragraph space, so what do? I go to add space after a paragraph. So after this paragraph, there should be a space, which is this space, before the next paragraph. So that's how we use paragraph and line spacing, right? At this point here, we have decrease indent, and here we have increase indent. Now the decrease indent actually shifts your text from the start of a paragraph to a point where you increase it to. So how does it work? If I highlight the entire text here, I go to increase indent, it shifts the starting point of all the text I have to a particular point on the page. So if I decrease indent, it shifts it back to the beginning of the page. So that's how indent is being used in Microsoft Office Word. Alright, so that's indent and decrease indent. This can be very useful where I have, let's say for example, I want to write a letter. So it could be very useful where I want to write a letter, and I have the address like number 3, Woji, PH. I have Nigeria. I have River State, Nigeria. River State, Nigeria. So let's assume this to be an address, or I'm writing the letter, and this is my address. So this is the sender's address. So how I have to do is to highlight this. I use my indent to shift it towards the right hand parts of the page. So this is actually how you can actually use your indent, increase and decrease indent. So I decrease the indent back to the beginning of the page, and I increase the indent back to any point on the page I actually want it to be. Okay, right. So we have here a shading. Shading actually highlights the page or the line of paragraph you have and gives it a color. I can just highlight this line here and go to shading, select a color, and it shades the entire paragraph where I have this tutorial on how to format text in Microsoft Word for beginners. So what it does, it actually shades that particular line with a color, which any color, whatever color you want to use. I can use red, and I can use yellow, I can use green, and all the colors that you can see on the color swatch there. You can actually use any of the color to shade our paragraphs. Now I can actually add borders. So let's say for example I want to add border to this paragraph. All I have to do is to highlight the paragraph, and then I go to this tool called border. Remember I told you that you can just take your pointer to the tool you want to use, leave it there for some seconds. It will display the name of the tool and also give you a hint of what the tool can do. So if I click here, I have bottom border, top border, left border. So you see when you click on any of them, the border displays at each point of wherever you're clicking it to. So if I come down here to all border, I have a border surrounding my paragraph. So this can be useful, and you can actually get rid of it by actually going back to the border and saying what? No border. So no border, get rid of the border you just applied to your paragraph of text. All right, so we still also have a tool here called sort. So what sort does is that it arranges our data in ascending order or descending order. So right here, let's say I have two paragraphs of text. I have Ada and I have Bola. Right now, Ada is is A. So Ada is supposed to come before Bola. That's how it's supposed to be. But if I like these two paragraphs of text, I go to sort. So I do say sort by what? I select by paragraph because Ada is the first paragraph and Bola is the second paragraph. And what order do I want? Ascending or descending? So already the text is being sorted in ascending order, but right here I can just select descending order, click OK. So what happens is that Bola goes first before Ada. So we actually sorted this text in a descending order. We can go back there, sort again, and say ascending order. Click OK, and Ada comes first before Bola. So this is actually how we can usually use the sort tool. All right. So if you look at the tool here, if you look at our ribbon group, each of the ribbon group has an arrow pointing downwards like this, like this, like this. What it means is that if we click on this, we can explore more tools that are not included on this group right here, on this ribbon here. So if you click here, it's going to bring out a dialog where we can actually, an interface where we can, so we click on this, it's going to actually bring out interface where we can actually see more tools to our ribbon or to any of our ribbon group. So that's what it does. All right, so this is using our font. So if I click on this, you can see other advanced tool, which is a more tool to what we have. So right here we have style or the style ribbon. What the style ribbon does is, without using any of this formatting, you can just select a default formatting for your text. So let's see how it works. So if I highlight here down and go to style and choose any style or choose any of the style, any style you choose, it would actually change your text to the style, the inbuilt style of Microsoft Office Word. So that's what the style ribbon does. It just has option where you can actually edit or change the style of a text to whatever you want without using your font. All right, so that's a style. Then we have our editing here. The editing group allows us to find a particular text or words in our document. We can actually replace those texts that we have found. So let's see how it works. Say for example, I want to look for the word tutorial. So I could say tutorial. Now what happens is that when you type on the word you're looking for, it has to select all the words that matches with the word you've just input on that navigation bar on your document, and then you found all the words that you just typed in on this document here. Now we can replace. So if you click on replace, so it says find tutorial, replace it lesson. So let's replace tutorial lesson, and then we say replace all. I say okay, yes, okay, close. So you can find out that here we have tutorial here, and it has changed to lesson. We have tutorial here, changed to lesson. We have tutorial here, and it has also changed to lesson. So that's how we can use our find and replace. We can also use our select here. So select allows us to select everything on our page. So we can just select everything on our page, and boom, everything has been selected on our page. So that's what we can use the select to do. Without highlighting the text one after the other, if you want to select everything on your page, you can just click on select and say select all, and then it has everything on your page selected. If this video has helped you, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. That will help me to create more videos like this. Thank you for watching my video, and please click on the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video like this.